Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, DJ NV, Charlamagne the God, and Jess Hilarious. Y'all doing all right this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so here's the latest in the front page news. We'll talk tariffs, securing the border, but first, it is Black History Month. But the reality is not so much in the military, as celebrations have been canceled with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth saying identity months are dead at DOD. This comes as the federal government is starting to end cultural diversity celebrations. The Department of Defense and the Department of Transportation announced over the weekend that officials won't commemorate Cultural Awareness Months going forward. This will end the recognition of months like Black History Month, Women's History Month, Pride Month among federal officials. Now, the new leader of the Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth, confirmed there will be no celebrations of, quote, immutable characteristics among employees. The changes come following President Trump's claims that diversity programs were responsible for the deadly mid-air collision over Washington, D.C. Any thoughts?
Does he not understand that this? I would think that this helps to raise the morale of
Right.
people in the military. Like, you know, everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be represented. You know, whether you black, whether you Latino, whether you a woman,
Asian.
whatever it is, Asian. Like, you know, if you want to rep your set. While you're repping the American military, you still want to rep your individual set. And I think that's one of the cool things about the military, that, you know, regardless of what you are, it brings everybody together in this one, you know, uniformed faction.
But I think it's obvious that Trump doesn't care. He doesn't, and I don't think anybody that's under his reign cares about any of that.
But to Charlamagne's point, you know, it could boost morale to at least be celebrated on a, you know, celebrate your culture, celebrate your heritage,
That's
celebrate
right.
something about yourself outside of what you are doing for your service that you're doing for the
No
military.
Cinco de Mayo?
Hey,
You know
look,
what I'm saying?
Definitely
Why
not.
they out there in the
Definitely
field? I'm serious. They out there in the field. They want to drink some tequila, eat some tacos. Like, we can't celebrate each other?
listen, you segueing right into what I'm trying to talk about. So U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said it's a new era at the southern border. So all that Cinco de Mayo, tacos, tequila stuff you talking about? Nah. Hegseth, along with border czar Tom Homan, visited El Paso, Texas on Monday to meet with troops manning the border, saying it's time for the U.S. to gain control of the border with Mexico. Let's hear more from Pete Hegseth.
Guys and gals of my generation have spent decades in foreign countries guarding other people's borders. It's about time we secure our own border. The charge that the president has given us to get 100% operational control of the southern border.
So Hegseth also blamed the Biden administration for allowing undocumented migrants to come into the country. This, of course, comes as Trump declared a national emergency at the border, signed several executive orders to crack down on immigration at the start of his second term.
I want them to get the border under control. I just don't understand why they being fun police with everything else. Like, what does, you know, people not being able to represent, I guess, their individual identities, what that got to do with getting the border under control?
Nothing.
Oh, it's all about the border. You know, everything boils down and boils back to the border. I mean, helicopter crashes, plane crashes, it's DEI and the border. I'm not sure. I don't know. But speaking of Mexico, we were talking about tariffs yesterday, right? Tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Well, they will be put on hold for a month following meetings with officials. President Trump's decision comes after he met with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum on Monday and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau later that afternoon. In a post on X, Sheinbaum said Mexico will send 10,000 National Guard members to the U.S. border to prevent drug trafficking into the U.S. On Truth Social, Trump said the U.S. will negotiate with Mexico to attempt to get a deal done regarding tariffs between the two countries. He spoke more about that at the White House yesterday. Here's what President Trump had to say on tariffs in Mexico.
We're going to have a big negotiation with Mexico. I'll be involved too, and President Sheinbaum will be involved to see whether or not we can work something out on the tariffs. We've agreed to talk and consider various other things. We haven't agreed on tariffs yet, and maybe we will, maybe we won't, but we have a very good relationship.
In regards to Canada, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said on social media that after a good call with Trump, Canada will implement a $1.3 billion plan to reinforce the 10,000 frontline personnel working to protect the border and stopping the flow of fentanyl. Tariffs against China are still set to go in effect, although Trump said a deal could be made to avoid them. When asked about Canada, what he would do to change the tariffs, Trump said he would like to see Canada become the 51st U.S. state. So,
what else we got, man? Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday, yeah. Super Bowl Sunday.
I'm not about to exhaust myself with this foolishness. Okay.
well, I will tell you, since you are based in New York Mayor Eric Adams, he said his team is reviewing on how the tariffs will impact New Yorkers. He said that he's going to approach it and basically work with the administration. We've heard this before, and he reiterated that the borders do need to be safe. Of course, this is a warning call, you guys. Things have been pushed back for about a month, so keep in mind that if these tariffs are in place, things like maple syrup, beer, whiskey, lobster, eggs, beef, pork, salmon, wheat, cheese, tequila, like you said earlier, avocado, peppers, beans, mangoes, limes, things like that will be impacted. So you might want to just go ahead and head out to the store and stock up on those things, possibly. Also, domestic and foreign auto industry will stand to be impacted, along with gas, energy, steel. So yeah, we'll keep you guys posted as to what's going on with the tariffs. And in the next hour, we'll talk about the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Yay!
Now, you mentioned the mayor of New York back working. I know he was sick at one time and he was taking a couple of days off, but he's back working.
Yes, he is. He is back in the fold.
Okay. All right. Well, that is front page news.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Morning, Morgan.
Good morning, DJ NV, Charlamagne the God, and Jess Hilarious. Good to see y'all again.
Good morning.
Peace, Morgan.
All right, let's get into it. So President Trump, he's creating an American Sovereign Wealth Fund. So I wasn't quite sure about what all this meant, but it's defined as a state-owned investment fund that invests in real and financial assets such as stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals, and in alternative investments such as private equity funds or hedge funds. But it would be for America, like a big bank account for America, right? So speaking at the White House while signing executive orders yesterday, Trump suggested it could help with the purchase of TikTok. Let's hear more from President Trump on starting an American Sovereign Wealth Fund.
So other countries have sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries, and they're not the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that, what's happened just in a short period of time. As an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the Sovereign Wealth Fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people. I think in a short period of time, we'd have one of the biggest funds, and you know, some of them are pretty large, I must tell you. Some of like the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large side, but eventually we'll catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund.
And who gets access to the fund? Like, who's this wealth being created for?
That's right. That's the question. It would be created for, supposedly, the American people. So the president said the fund will also be used to invest in things like airports, medical research, and highways. I know for other foreign nations, their sovereign wealth funds have been able to help cut taxes in emergency times, like, for example, the COVID-19 pandemic, stuff like that. So the sovereign wealth fund will be the first to ever be established in the history of the U.S. if this is something
So we shouldn't have to pay taxes no more then. There should be no more federal taxes if they got a sovereign wealth fund.
Well, they'll lower the taxes, but this is actually great if they do it the right way, right? Because, I mean, at one time they said Abu Dhabi, and I don't know if this is true or not, they don't own it anymore, but they actually, I believe, own the Chicago parking meters. So anytime you pay the parking meter, they actually purchase that. And I know even China owns a bunch of different things in the U.S. as well. So if we created a fund and started buying things in other nations, I think that'd be amazing. Like you said, we just have to figure out where that money's going, but I think that's great.
Now, I'm not going to say it's amazing because I'm not completely sure what a sovereign wealth fund is, but I don't know.
If it is what they say it is.
Right. Well, that is what it is defined as, is basically what I said earlier. But again, how President Trump defines things, you know, he liked to put a little sauce on it. So meanwhile, there are reports that the Trump administration is setting a quota for ICE agents, asking for 1,800 arrests per day. Democrats fear that the pressure will lead to citizens or people with green cards being swept up in the immigration raids. Now, San Antonio's Congressman Joaquin Castro, he fears that a rush to deport illegal immigrants will lead to mistakes like the arrest of green card holders or lawful residents. Let's hear more from Joaquin Castro.
In New Jersey, for example, there was a U.S. citizen veteran who was detained and had his military credentials questioned. When you do things like put quotas on people, it means that you're going to be targeting people who aren't criminals. people who have been here 20 or 30 years, who've been paying their taxes, who've been abiding by the law, and all of a sudden you're going to rip them out.
So Joaquin Castro, who is San Antonio's congressman, he points to an operation from the 1950s, which was run under President Eisenhower. So apparently there were between 1 and 2 million U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents who were deported to Mexico by mistake. Can you imagine that?
I don't understand the point of taking in people that have a green card, because when you have a green card, it means that you can live and work in the U.S. and you're in the process of becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen. So why would you deport somebody who's in the process of becoming a U.S. citizen? Isn't that what we want? Don't we want people to actually go through the process and become legal citizens? So why would you, snatch up somebody if they actually have a green card? That don't make any sense.
They're saying that people are being profiled, and regardless, whether and before you can even figure out what their status is, they're already being profiled and detained or, looped into a raid or something like that. So
yeah, like Envy. Envy looked Dominican. So I
got you, Envy. It's Dominican. I got you.
Yeah, I get you.
My West Indian brother.
I'm actually black, so I don't have a problem with that. But like you said, they were supposed to be going, quote unquote, after criminals and people that had priors and warrants and that's been arrested and drug dealers. That's what they said they were going
at.
No,
that's not all. They just said if you're here illegally. That's what they said. That's actually what they said. If you're here illegally.
If you're here illegally, that's a crime. You're committing a crime, and you're subject to. But if you have a green card, that's not illegal. So
don't get scared now, Envy. Don't get scared. You just make sure you have all your paperwork on you, okay?
I was born here, sir. Born here, sir. Brookdale Hospital, sir.
Speaking of deportation, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he's met with Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele to discuss deporting gang members to El Salvador. That's according to the State Department Special Envoy for Latin America. Mauricio Claver Caron says they're working with Bukele on an agreement that may involve members of the Tren de Aragua gang to be sent back to Venezuela. Of course, this comes again as President Trump signed those executive orders. Basically, what's happening here is the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is supposedly working with the El Salvadorian president to make it so that anybody who doesn't want to accept the deportees that we have, that El Salvador may accept it. And I don't know if you know what happened in El Salvador with MS-13 and this president, but he's pretty much really, I would just say, dismantled the gang in quite a way. I mean, he's put them in something like concentration camp type prisons. He's shaved their heads. And he calls it the Center for Confinement of Terrorism. And it's been quite the thing that he's done in terms of dismantling the MS-13 gang. So if we're going to be sending our deportees that aren't going to be accepted in the countries that they come from to El Salvador, then I'm not really sure, So Rubio, again, he says he begins touring Central America this weekend, and he's expected to reach San Salvador on Monday. Elsewhere with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he is the acting director of USAID. He criticized the agency responsible for foreign aid. And let's take a listen to those comments. Marco Rubio on USAID.
It is an entity that spends taxpayer dollars, and it needs to spend it, as the statute says, in alignment with the policy directives that they get from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, and the President. And it's been 20 or 30 years where people have tried to reform it, and it refuses to reform. It refuses to cooperate. When we were in Congress, we couldn't even get answers to basic questions about programs. That will not continue. That's not going to continue. Okay, we would ask them questions. Who does this program fund? Who gets the money? We won't tell you. We don't need to tell you. We're apolitical. Well, American foreign policy isn't apolitical. American foreign policy is to further the interest of the United States.
And of course, USAID is an entity and the government that works on dispersing foreign aid, whether that be in the form of funds, health care, things of that nature, food. And of course, this comes after Elon Musk said the agency is responsible for foreign aid is beyond repair, and that the Trump administration is working to shut it down. So I will keep you posted on that. And February is not only Black History Month, but it's also Heart Health Month, Healthy Heart Month. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death in the U.S. That's according to data from the American Heart Association's 2025 Heart Disease and Stroke Statistics Update. The annual update published in the association's flagship journal notes that while medical advances have helped keep people living longer, many risk factors like blood pressure and obesity continue to grow at high rates. Now, data shows cardiovascular diseases claim more lives in the U.S. than cancer and accidental deaths combined, which are the second and third leading causes of death, respectively, nationwide. And of course, Black people are impacted disproportionately, with Black women leading the trend. Now, the American Heart Association recently posted on Instagram that Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us has 101 beats per minute, which is the right tempo for hands-only CPR, adding that if you see an adult or teen collapse, call 911 immediately, start chest compressions, press hard and in the center of the chest to the rhythm of Not Like Us. We all know the song, so you can do those chest compressions until help arrives. So I thought that was a really cool tip from the American Heart Association that Not Like Us, if you sing it in your head and you find yourself in an emergency situation, chest compressions.
I'm trying to figure out.
Chest compressions to the beat of Not Like Us.
No, that's too fast. That's too fast. That's too fast.
You gonna kill him?
You gonna kill somebody?
Okay.
But
Interesting. I need to see it done.
Yeah, so all right, y'all. That's your front page news. Y'all stay
What if
safe
you
out
go,
there.
wah, 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 wah?
Damn.
You're gonna kill him. You're gonna
I'm
kill a
just trying to
person.
figure out what part of the song.
You have a
It's,
body. You do
it's
that.
BPM. It's boom, 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 boom,
Yeah, there you
boom,
go.
boom, boom, boom with my fist.
Man, imagine
gonna
you
kill
see
somebody.
somebody doing that. You be like, man, hip hop has taken it too far.
Come on.
Okay.
They not like us.
He beatboxing, hitting on his chest.
Lord.
I'm dying. You
Crazy.
saying not like us.
Come
And on this,
Whoa. Somebody gonna think you killed the person, man. You gonna get arrested for a hate crime.
Crazy.
But the truth of the matter is, in emergency situations, you really only have about 6 minutes before, to do something before, that person starts to, so.
Man, what if you saw a white person doing that to a black person and they beating on their chest saying, they not like us, they not like us? That white man is going to jail. If you had to do that to a gay person and you a straight person, you going to jail for a hate crime.
Especially if it's recorded. Oh no.
You beating on their chest over they not like
that's
us.
more pressure.
or if they
Not like
offbeat.
us.
More pressure.
Could you imagine if they offbeat? If they don't have rhythm?
Lord.
Oh my God.
kill somebody.
Gays got
man.
rhythm, yo.
Oh.
But on a serious note, definitely check out Dr. Puma in Soren Medical. Charlamagne and myself talk about it all the time. It's all about heart wealth. They have this scan where they actually scan your heart and can tell you if there's anything wrong with
It's
your
called the
heart.
Soren heart scan.
They take all types of medical insurance, and even if you don't have insurance, they find a way to make sure that you are covered. So if you can, check out Soren Medical. I know one time Charlamagne and myself were giving away free actual passes to go there and get your heart scanned. But definitely check out Dr. Puma and Soren Medical. That's Soria. Thank you, Morgan.
All right. That's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me at Morgan Media. For more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Have a good one, y'all.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.